guys? Good afternoon. Chris Aguilar here with the Chris Aguilar podcast, where we want you to just maximize your life. We don't want you to 10x or 20x. We just want you to maximize your lives to the fullest of your potential. And I have one of my very good friends and pioneer, master of his craft in this industry in real estate, Gabe Mendez, right here next to me. Welcome to our podcast, Gabe.
What's up, Chris?
What up, man?
Appreciate you having me here, bro.
Appreciate you too, man.
Let's go.
Hey, I wanted to say a couple of things before we start, Gabe. And one of the things is, Gabe is not only number one rated in San Diego by the, I want to get it right, top 1% in San Diego per the San Diego Association of Realtors. Ranked number one in San Diego and number 8 in California by the social media via Property Shark. And ranked 50th in our nation by the National Association of Hispanic Realtors. That is not something easy to accomplish. You gotta be obsessed for what you do. You gotta be relentless. You gotta have a passion for what you do, and that's Gabe. You're just a natural, Gabe, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you being here in our podcast, and super excited for what we're gonna be discussing. And aside from you being a champion in the marketplace, I know you have a heart for giving to others, and not just giving financially, but giving with your time. Like, we get to serve together in Pathfinders and build amazing future, pioneers or future industry leaders or people who are going to be dominating their craft. And I see you on calls on a weekly basis. I see you teaching on stage with them. I see you on stage around our country speaking to other realtors. And Gabe, what is it that has made you who you are? Like, what is the Gabe Mendez secret sauce? Just tell us about you, man.
Well, number one, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here today. So I just want to thank everyone in the audience for watching the video, and Chris for having me on the podcast.
Thanks, man.
Learning about you over the last, I got to be honest, learning about you over the last 6-9 months since we served together. Not in prison. We served at church. All right? Make sure we clarify that, all right? Yeah. We served together at church. But after getting to learn about you, I was just telling Carlos outside in the parking lot, I thought I was at a really high level of production versus for my family, my personal life, and then I got a chance to meet you. Bro, wow. The way you operate is at a whole new level, and I look up to him like, man, how does this guy he just doesn't stop? I thought I didn't stop, but I looked at my life, I'm like, I do stop sometimes, but this guy doesn't stop at all. So it's just, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here, bro, and I just want to say thank you for that. You're an inspiration to a lot of people out there.
Wow, thank you, Gabe. Right back at you, man. I do take that. We have mastered our craft just like you have in your space, and you can't sleep. You're talking about sleeping. You gotta love what you do more than how much you love sleeping. You gotta love the people around you that you're lifting up with you, your team, than how much you love sleeping. And some people just don't get to where they want to get to because they love sleeping more than their goals. So I learned that very early young. We've created a great real estate portfolio built over 2.5 million square feet of real estate through one of my developing companies, flipped over 100 homes nationwide, opened up the first real estate wholesaling company in our country, and so on and on. Now we got TCA. It's going to be one of the biggest companies that I ever opened up, and it's going to be probably the biggest real estate educational company in our country. We are catering it for athletes, fitness, for entrepreneurs, business education, and for real estate champions like yourself, like me, in that space. So TCA is going to be epic, man. But I want to talk about you, Gabe. What would you say to realtors who are maybe they've been in the business for 5 years, 6 years, and we're in times of a recession. We're here, this so-called recession, right? But I don't feel real estate prices correcting as much. I feel people being a little hesitant, but the supply is not as high as you would imagine in a recession. This is a different recession. How are you surviving this so-called recession? How are you able to still keep the rank that you have in this industry? Like, what is it that you do that makes you?
Yeah. So one of the things that I learned first, really early on in my career, was like you said at the very beginning, maximize your potential and opportunity.
Right.
That's been it. I haven't let my foot off the gas since I've started. And every single day, regardless if it's a weekday, a weekend, if it's a holiday, it doesn't matter to me. I'm putting some time or effort into my craft. And I could tell everyone, you're either working in your business during business hours or you're working on your business after hours. So your 9 to 5 is in your business, and that 5 to 9, like during nighttime, is on your business. You should be working on your studies, your closing techniques, your listing presentations. You should be focusing on your script practicing. That's the stuff that you do after hours that no one gets to see. And then during the in hours, that's when you're putting in the phone calls, the door knocking, the social media posts. That's not your time to sit there and learn during in-hour businesses. That's your time to get to work. And so that was something that I learned very early on. What I tell everyone is, I was naive enough to listen to the game plan. So I was naive enough. I was naive enough to believe it. And you have to have this ignorance on fire, where you're blinded by everything else. You don't pay attention to nothing else, but your ignorance is on fire. Like, wow, I can do this, and you go, 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 go. Be naive to a certain extent. If your coaches,
be naive.
If your coaches and mentors are telling you this is what you have to do, then that's what you should be doing. Be naive enough to believe that that's the game plan and go all in on it. That was my secret sauce. That I had people like you in my life that would pour into me, that would say, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. Or when times were financially getting tough early on in my career, they would tell me it's supposed to be like that. Like, continue pouring into your business, continue spending the money you need to spend, just don't stop showing up. He's like, one of my mentors said, you only lose if you quit. But if you continue to show up every single day, I promise you it's going to happen for you. And then he told me this. It's like the best analogy he could have given me. He's like, you're like a farmer. He's like, and what happens with a farmer? They plant their seeds, they turn the soil, they feed the soil, they let the rain, they water it, but the one thing they can't control is the process. The process has to take place. No matter if the farmer puts too much water or too much seed or too much food, he can drown the plant or whatever the crop is going to be.
Yes.
He's like, but you have to put the right amount of water over time. You have to let the sun hit it over time. You have to turn the soil over time. And then finally, when the crop is ready to be harvested, you'll see it sprout. But it takes time to get there. He said the work that you're doing in real estate is no different. Plant your seeds every single day. Turn the soil every single day. Water it every single day, and then let the sun do what it does. And eventually, you'll have a business. And so I looked at my business like that. And I never expected it to be fast. I always expected it, like you say all the time, bro, delayed gratification.
Yes.
I had that early on in my business. I wanted everything yesterday, but I had the patience to wait to have it.
Dude, I love what you said about planting that seed, because I feel that real estate, and I do a comparison a lot with the bamboo tree in real estate, because the bamboo farmers have to plant the seed, water the soil, treat the soil, water the soil for 5 years before they see anything coming out of the ground.
Wow.
Literally at the end of year 5, beginning of year 6, it tops up, I think, at 50 feet or 55 feet. So in real estate, you know about this, and I experienced the same thing, is as you start just putting work in and putting work in and putting work in, at some point you have to put the work in. You know, in the future, you're going to have teams that help you put the work in, where you're working on the business, not so much in the business, but you got to put the work in. There's no shortcut, right? So the beautiful thing of real estate, if you're watching this video right now, is you have to put the work in, and you have to be a person who's willing to plant a seed. And for a seed to be able to germinate and give fruit, it has to die. So meaning, like, there's no going back. There's no distractions. There's no boat you can go back. You burn the boat and you move forward relentlessly. But Gabe,
can I ask you a question, Levi?
Absolutely.
Before don't lose that thought, but I want to ask you a question. What happens when you plant the seed and it's getting ready to sprout? Like, what happens underneath the ground that you can't see?
Wow.
It's the roots.
Yes.
You can't see that. You can't see that process taking place on the surface level. We don't see that crop growing. We don't see anything happen. We don't see it sprouting. But underneath the soil, the roots are getting deeper. The roots are strengthening. They're getting longer and bigger. And then eventually, when the roots have settled in, then it begins to sprout up top. So this process of you showing up to work every single day, the process of you knocking on doors, the process of you making the phone calls, those are your roots that are strengthening and deepening under the soil. I don't want you sitting out there thinking that nothing's happening in your career, because it is happening. You just can't see it the same way you can't see the crop underneath the soil. And eventually those roots are going to plant themselves and the sprouting will take place. Then finally the people return your phone call. Then finally they open the door. Then finally they say, come on over, list my property. And then you can harvest the crops after that. So you guys don't get discouraged in this market. Just allow the process to take place.
Dude, I love that, Gabe. I love that. You said something that really reminded me of something I was thinking of over the weekend. Wealth, I think a lot about mindset when it comes to wealth creation. And wealth is a mindset, a set of rules and principles that you go by. people do not see the principles you're applying, the rules you're applying, the investment you're making with your time, the sacrifices of maybe not being elsewhere, what I call the opportunity cost of time. What are you doing behind closed doors? People don't see that. People just see your wins. They see you're ranked number one, and they think that's pretty cool. That maybe Gabe Mendez is lucky, but luck doesn't exist. You put in the work to make things happen. You make things happen. You don't wait for we always say this here in this podcast, we don't wait for the right timing. We create the moment. We seize the opportunity and we close the deal, whatever industry you're in. So, but Gabe, you're such a man of excellence, dude. You operate at such a high level when you speak. You speak with such excellence. Dude, your attire, when you dress, your swag, your teams, the way you build your teams. I've seen you, and we're going to talk a little bit more about in a little bit about your program you got coming out. Everything is done with such excellence. And how do you, for those listening that are real estate agents or want to get in the game of real estate, and are people who are of excellence, but there's that fine line where you gotta get things done. We have a saying in our company, or in the corporate world, done is better than perfect, right? Or that fine line that divides excellence and getting something done. Like how do you divide that? Like when I started social media a few months ago, you were one of the first people that I approached, and one of the things I asked you, if you remember on the phone, was, "Hey Gabe, how do you do it to be like okay with posting a video where?" Because I'm a big self-critic and I'm into excellence, and it's like, no, I don't like the way I smiled right there. It's not my best smile. No, I don't like the background. And how do you operate that fine line, dude?
That's a really good question, and I think at different stages, different people's lives, it's going to be really it's going to matter differently at different stages. So I think at your point where you're scaling and everyone knows who you are, I think because you're pioneering in this new market for yourself. And again, for me, early on in my career, everything had to be excellent. Everything had to be perfect when I was first launching, because the way that they saw that one thing was a representation of possibly how I could be doing everything. And I didn't want people looking at my signs, my posts on social media, and I didn't want them looking at it and saying, oh man, this guy, half did that, half did this. If he's half doing all these things early in his career, that might translate into half doing something on the listing of my home. That might translate into half doing something on the representation of my purchase. And I don't want people thinking and feeling that about me early in my career. Now that I'm scaling, I have to understand that my perfectionism could actually hold my company back from growing because I'm trying to control everything. So now that we're scaling, and I'm like, okay, well, I have an operations manager. I have an assistant. I have an operations manager running the Winner Circle group now. Like I have these three things, and if I am such a perfectionist, I could actually be the downfall of the company because I'm holding everything back and it's trying to grow. That's when the 80-20 rule came into play, the Pareto principle. Yes. It's like, hey, if they can do it as 80% as you can do it on those areas, I'm like, then that's a big victory for me. And that was a learning curve that I had to take. So I would say early in my career, it had to be perfect in order for me to make that splash. But now that I'm here and people trust my reputation, people trust my name and my company, I'm okay at 80% because they know that I'm going to deliver. And I never say I'm going to do something that I can't over deliver on. I will on purpose sometimes under promise just so that I can over deliver. But I never want to meet the expectation in anything I do. I always want to exceed the expectation in what I do. And again, in the very beginning, your personal brand is your reputation. That's what people see when they think of Chris, when they think of Gabe, when they think of you, regardless of the industry that you're in. Your reputation, what people say about you when you're not in the room, is your personal brand. What do they say about you? What kind of thoughts do people have surrounding your business?
So good.
And you can control that narrative through social media. That's the beauty of it. You can control that narrative, what people think and say about you. And that's a whole other topic right there. But that's the answer that I would say in the very beginning. If you're just pioneering something, make it excellent. When you build your brand and reputation, it comes to scalability, then apply the Pareto principle, 80-20. And at that point, good is good enough as long as it's 80% as good as you would do it. Yeah.
I love that. And you mentioned social media. So I know you have a mastermind, a mentorship program that you got. Yeah. Can you tell us about it with social media and what you're doing with it?
So I noticed a huge gap in real estate and social media. A lot of people are trying to do social media. They're doing these things, and sometimes they're a little weird and like awkward stuff. Sometimes they'll do like weird skits and posts. I'm like, dude, that's not going to help you attract any clients. Like, there's no one who's sitting there thinking like, oh man, I can't wait to watch my real estate agent twerk it inside the kitchen. I'm like, don't do that. That's not what we're looking for. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to see my attorney doing that. I'm not going to pick my attorney based on the fact that he can drop it low in the kitchen. I'm not going to pick my doctor based on those things.
So true.
You know, when I think of my attorney and my doctor, I want someone who's professional. I want a shark. I want someone who's educated in their field. And us as real estate professionals, we have to view our the exact same way. So there are things that work well, that work really well. And I've spent the last 10 years of my life investing thousands of dollars into coaching by some of the best people in the country. Big shout out to my boy Billy Jean here in San Diego for helping me learn my social media stuff early on in my career. But I've been coached by many people just like that. But I've taken what they've taught me from their industries, plus my trial and errors over time, and then I've created my own thing that's worked, and then I've cut out the stuff that didn't. I worked on the stuff that did, and over the last 10 years, I've just seen that these things work. There are ways to post on social media. There are ways to write your ad copy on social media. There are ways to have your thumbnails on your videos on social media. Things that actually get people to click and continue watching. It doesn't matter if you have a cool video, if your watch time is only 10, 11 seconds out of 60 seconds. You have to maximize that watch time. You have to get people to read the entire ad copy because people don't buy off of logic. They don't care about the stats on the market. People buy off of emotion. So every single post that you make has to be emotional, has to make them feel something to buy or sell. And that's something that I've done really, really well in. And now most of my social media posts, they convert. So I decided to take all that after the last few years and high demand of it and create a small little course just around social media for real estate agents. And that we just launched that last week.
Wow, dude, I want to be part of it, Gabe.
Oh, of course, bro.
I want to be part of that.
Let's go.
But let me tell you, you mentioned something about somebody, dropping a low in the kitchen and putting that up there, maybe spending 30 minutes to get that video looking good and putting it up there, how ineffective that is. But joining a mastermind class like the one Gabe Mendez has put out for you guys, especially if you're a real estate agent. But is it limited to just real estate agents, or could someone who's not a realtor also come in?
No, someone who's not a realtor can come in. It's focused strictly for real estate agents, but really it's a service-based kind of industry that you're in. So if you're in a service-based industry and you serve clients and that's what you do, you don't sell a product.
The reason I asked that, Gabe, is because one of the advices that you gave me was Chris, make sure you post content that is adding value to people who are viewing your postings and all social media platforms. So the way I was doing it before, it was a little bit maybe not as effective until after I talked to you. So thank you for that advice. You guys lean into his program. Is probably one of the best out there because he is #1 ranked as a real estate agent in social media. So, hey, I always talk in this show about if you want to be the best in whatever craft, whatever industry, go out and research who the best in the world are. Learn their lives, learn who their teammates are, how they build their teams, how they put them together, and go out and do the same thing. Don't be that person. Be yourself, your authentic, genuine self. But do what they do, and that's the easiest way to get from point A to point Z and have, be a competitor in any industry. So if you want to learn from the best in social media, contact Gabe Mendez. But before we go, guys, I want to tap into a little bit of what you're doing with the Winner's Circle, with the Gabe Mendez group. I know you recently joined EXP, and how many people do you have? Or how many real estate agents do you have right now in your whole team, the Mendez group and the Winner's Circle?
Combined between the two is over 100.
Guys, over 100 people, and some of them are people who have teams under them, right?
Yeah.
Over 100 people that are experts, that are real estate agents. Gabe, I know Gabe. Gabe is not going to allow someone to just come in his team just because. They probably have proven fruit, and that is why they're part of the Winner's Circle of the Gabe Mendez team or group. So if you're out there wondering, how did he create this? We're going to ask him right now. He joined EXP, a company that I believe is one of the best companies. I think they're pioneering the real estate industry. They're changing how real estate happens. Tell us about EXP, how you joined EXP, why you did it, and what do you advise people who are on the edge of maybe making a change or not? Like, why did you do that, and what do you recommend?
So the most important thing for everyone out there in the real estate space, traditionally, the #1 issue that we've always had in real estate is that it's such a competitive market. You could be working in the same office, like you and I could be working for this company here,
right?
ABC Real Estate. And I might come up to you, and we both grew up in the same city, same location,
right.
And I might ask you, hey, Chris, can you teach me all your secrets and all your tricks, everything that's taking your whole career? Can you please tell me what that might be? Well, because there's no financial incentive or incentive period for you to teach me that,
right.
You might be hesitant to tell me the actual secret sauce of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And It doesn't matter if we're under the same umbrella or not, or if you're in a separate company. I might be ABC and you might be 123. There's no financial incentive for you to do it. Unless I give you a portion of my deals, then you might be willing to say, you know what? Yeah, let me give you my 10 years worth of life's work. Because the truth is, most people operate with the mindset of scarcity. You're gonna become my direct competition. You're gonna take my deals, my business. No, I'll tell you a little bit. Here's a little of what I do.
Yes.
Well, that's exactly what's happened in real estate up to this point. EXP, what they did was they dissolved that entire model and they said, the real estate agent, you join the company, you are the one who's going to influence agents to join. And because you've done that, we're now going to financially incentivize you to help them grow. So now,
Wow.
same scenario, you and me are in the same company, but you sponsored me into the company, and now you have incentive to teach me all your tricks. You actually want me to do better than you because the company EXP will compensate
That
you
is so good.
every time I close deals. They switched the model completely. It clicked in all the real estate agents' heads, and they're like, whoa, I can get coached by you for a fraction of the cost. You want me to succeed? I'll sign up. So that's what ended up happening. I moved over to EXP. I said, hey, listen, I can work with me now. You don't have to pay anything. Like, just join my company. This is what we can do together. And everyone jumped on board. And we recruited some of the top
fantastic.
talent in the entire country. So if you want to join the Winner Circle Mastermind Group, all you have to do is move your license from where it's at over here with me, and we unlock all those benefits of coaching, mentoring, training 5 days a week through myself and other top performers in the Winner Circle coaching program. So that's all free 99.
Do you know what? If you have an opportunity to learn from the best of the best and have them pour into you because they have a financial, incentive to pour into you, why not join EXP? So that, or not just EXP, but the Winner Circle, because being part of a company is great, a company like EXP, but being part of a company under leadership that is going to take you, propel you to get to where you want to get to is what matters. So, contact, so how can people find you? Social media, of course, but how?
Social media, so on Instagram, it's at Gabe Mendez. Facebook is at Gabe Mendez. Or you can just text me directly, 619-876-2265. If you want to go to my website, abetterme.co for coaching. And you can find me all the different ways.
I love it. But what a fantastic, fascinating business plan of EXP and the Winner Circle put together. And TCA, our company, is collaborating too, where we come in and we're part of the Winner Circle, and we come in and we teach the principles you learn through TCA to the Winner Circle team, and it's been fascinating to meet others, great people that have the right persona, that are hungry to go out and succeed and take territory in the real estate market. So that is really cool. But before we close it up, there's a question that we always ask, Gabe, and I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but we're unapologetic about what we believe in. We both serve in an amazing church, Awaken Church, and we serve in the ministry. It's a marketplace expression called Pathfinders. And Gabe, I see you serving with such a grateful and joyful heart. Every time I see you, you're dressed up with excellence. You are there putting up a smile. You're speaking with excellence. You're really putting out your heart. I see it. So why is it that you do that? Like, people want to know what happens behind closed doors. And I know, I'm asking you purposely because I know I do it also. But what is it that happens when you give your life to serve God in that way? Like, tell us a little bit about that. Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
No, it's all right. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this question. So the answer is this: I have lived my life like my way. I've tried doing it my way my entire life. I went through mentors, coaches, programs. I've been through peaks of success. I've been to valleys, really dark, deep lows, and nothing worked. And then finally, Awaken found me. I found Awaken. And I decided to go to the church. And it was at a very low point that I decided to go to it. And it was the time I was like, I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm gonna go all in on this last chance. I want my marriage to do well, I want my children to do well, I want my business to thrive. I've tried everything. I just want to try it this way now, finally. And so I did. I just surrendered to it. I became obedient to the word. I started tithing, attending church, men's prayer. I began serving at the church. And when I started to do that, I noticed everything changed in my life. I noticed my relationship with my wife, it's night and day difference. The relationship with my kids, night and day difference. They both sing and praise and worship. My finances, my business exploded. So when I saw the fruit in my life and I saw what changed in my life, something clicked and I said, wow, God, you did this for me. I want to go serve other people so you can do it for others. And I truly want to
good.
see, I truly want to see the community. I truly want to see like others' relationships with their wives and husbands. I want to see that transform because it worked. It worked for me. So now I want to serve in kids ministry. I want to serve in the business ministry. I want to show people that I'm a product of this. And if I can just contribute a little bit, and God uses me as a vessel to influence other people, that is going to make me extremely happy and fulfilled on the inside. So this is why I show up every Tuesday with a big smile. This is why I contribute so much because it changed my life, and I know it can change everyone else's out there too.
And Gabe, you've been attending church for some years now. I remember meeting you about 5 years ago. I actually got a mental image of you and Cherish walking into the building, maybe in the high team, and I see now next to me a different Gabe. And what is awesome is that for us to be truly successful, well, let's define success. For me, success is the ability to be in convergence with your own authentic self and serving in the capacity that you were meant to serve by your designer. So to me, when I joined church, same as you, and I started serving, I felt, Gabe, like I got permission from God to go out and I was released into the marketplace with my gifting. There's some Bible people that have asked me, that's not your mission on earth. And I know that is my purpose on earth. And they try to bring Matthew 28, the Grand Commission, and I'm like, you know what? But not everyone's going to go out and be a preacher, pastor, teacher, all that, evangelist. But what about the guys that are in the business world and are gifted by God to go out and create wealth, stagnant, kind of like the Dead Sea? It doesn't go anywhere. That's why it's dead, right? So when you create wealth that is fulfilling not only to you, but for others, that is when you truly tap into greatness. You see, when I first started in business, before going to church, I was always thinking of me, I want this, I want a house, I want a car, I want a vacation, Hawaii, Cancun, I want all those good things. And, I created stability with that. But when I tapped into the we want to go out and do, we want to go out and build this legacy for the family. It was great. We created riches. But I feel that when we came to our church and tapped into the power of God, we stopped using the me and the we, and we're talking about them now. So when you focus not on me or we, and you really focus on them, when you're trying to build legacy for others, when you're trying to impart of what you have, of the abounding overpouring what you have into others, financially, in business, family, ministry, whatever it is, then is when you tap into something that's unstoppable, greatness. So, I love that we can talk like this and be so free. Feel so free to talk about things that the world might seem as weird, but for us it's normal and is actually a competitive advantage that we have.
Can I add one more thing?
Please do so, yeah.
So I want to ask everyone a question out there in the audience, and the question is this: if you were to spend, let's think of one of the most greatest minds that ever lived, right? Tony Robbins.
Yes.
A lot of us look up to him.
Yes.
A really intelligent man. He's shifted and changed millions of people's lives across the world. A really good man. Chris, question for you: if you were to spend 24 hours with Tony Robbins, like right next to him physically, and you were at every appointment, scratch that, maybe even just 8 hours,
okay,
right? At his meetings, his phone calls, his emails, the way he operates in his process and everything. If you were to be right next to him every single step of that moment, would your life be changed?
Absolutely.
Because you would see how he would operate. It's a whole new energy. It's a whole new level of thinking. So what Chris has been saying this entire podcast, and a couple times he dropped it, is, if you want that radical change, if you want that radical shift in who you are as a person, you must get around the people who are doing it at a high level. Winner Circle, TCA, Chris, myself, all of our group, our mastermind, this is what we've created. It's a whole group and a whole entity of winners that are winning at a high level. The fastest way to change who you are as a person is to get around those who are changing the world and changing the game. You have to get around that energy. You have to get around that type of mindset in order for it to absorb onto you. So
true.
For a lot of you who are out there that are thinking, what can I do? What must I do? There are two great opportunities right here for all of you to make that shift and that change. Be around people who are doing what you want to do. Be around people that have what you want to have. Be around people who have been successful at those things. And then it'll create the shortcut for you in your life. And that's how then you can get there quicker.
You know what? Work for knowledge, not money. And when you find someone that you can learn something from, don't just take, but give. As a matter of fact, actually I haven't told you this, Gabe, but I got reached out by Patrick Bet-David's assistant. He saw my social media on Instagram, and Leo reached out to me a few weeks ago. and he asked me a question. We talked about 40 minutes, and he said, Chris, what would you do if I set you up 20 minutes with Patrick? What would you want from him? And I said, you know what? It's very simple. I said, first of all, I would interview him, get him to know a little better, because I do follow him, but I don't really look at his videos. I know who he is, but don't know what he has built. So I would ask him what he does in real estate, because I'm a real estate expert. And I would ask him why he's not investing more, or what asset class he likes to invest. And I would try to bring value to him. That's the first thing I do, Leo. He's like, what? You want to bring value to Patrick Potato? I'm like, absolutely, I can definitely bring value. I said the second thing I would ask him is if he likes what he hears, if he would like to do a collaboration with me in social media, because that would help me. But I wouldn't ask the second question if I wouldn't see that the first question was something that I could do for him, because that's not how I operate. And he was like, dang. He goes, let me call you next week. So we'll see what happens with that. But we can't get in life, we can't build greatness in life without knowing that we have to build other people along the way. That if you're building a team of winners or champions, and you're a winner yourself because you're building them. But you couldn't get where you're going to get if you don't build them.
All right.
You know, so you're focused. So what we're trying to portray here, say here, is that make sure you watch out under whose authority you're in, that you watch out under whose leadership you're in, and what fruit they have in their life. You got a champion right here sitting right next to me. If you want to get into the real estate game, as far as investing in real estate, as far as building a team under you, championing other people, or just increasing your sales. This guy's rated #1 social media. Why not call him up? Call the Winner Circle team. So hey, Gabe, once again, thanks for being on the show, man.
Thank you, brother.
It was such
Appreciate
great conversations. So hey, guys, don't forget, just maximize. If you like what you heard, please hit a like, follow us on our bio, click the link, and we would talk more about stuff like this that you will enjoy.